This is essentially what Josh Heupel said about Rickey Gibson yesterday. And I think Rickey Gibson is one of the most talented players on Tennessee's defense for sure, and maybe on Tennessee's entire team. He was projected as a starter, and basically Josh Heupel said, I just wasn't ready to go. We just didn't play him. He could have gone. I don't know what to read into that. And I checked with sources yesterday, and I didn't get a definitive answer that I feel comfortable conveying. So what do you make of Rickey Gibson not playing on Saturday? Because I think you and I agree he's one of Tennessee's two best corners. And not having him out there not only takes one of your best players athletically and from a scheme standpoint off the field, but it also starts to hit your depth in a group that's trying to build chemistry. So, Caleb, how much of a concern should this be?
You know, it seems like a bigger concern than I would have thought initially. There's a little more to read into this, Dave. So the day before, Rickey Gibson was just fully held out. And it's safe to say whether or not he was telling the truth. Josh Heupel was implying that he was hurt, right?
See, he was so... Gosh, he was so generic about it. I don't know.
Well, what I mean is he wanted you to take away the idea that he was hurt, but he didn't without him actually saying it because he didn't want you to think he lied to you. Does that make sense?
I guess. Caleb, I will say this. I came away from the press conference yesterday thinking, and I do not know this, but if I would just take any player that was suddenly not in the lineup, I would think he did something to get in trouble in the offseason, being a young guy. That would be my conclusion. I do not know that. Okay. I am not reporting that. I tried my hardest to find out yesterday what was actually going on. I guess I think back to when I'm sitting in the press box at Alabama, and you could probably help me in the year because you're super smart. And we get a press release that 6 guys aren't playing. And if I remember correctly, now this 6 Alabama players weren't playing, and they were suspended for some textbook scandal. Do you remember that, Caleb, back in the day?
Oh, yeah, Nick Saban's first year, 2007. I remember that very well.
Okay, so we're sitting there, and we get this release, and they hand it out to everybody, which is kind of strange. But I'm wondering if I can't help but wonder if that's the case because it's young men, and I did stupid stuff when I was younger, but I don't know. I guess my overall arching question, is it time for Josh Heupel to drop some of the gamesmanship and be a little bit more open and honest? Because if he just said disciplinary reasons, that could mean missing class. It doesn't mean like that Lane Kiffin group that held up a convenience store, for goodness sake. We all do stupid stuff. I certainly would have been suspended for a game as a freshman if I played football. There's no for missing class. So, Caleb, that's my overarching theme here is, does Josh Heupel owe it to the fans to be a little bit more open?
Oh, I think he does. Well, and that's why reading more into this, what I was going to say was, so the day before Tennessee played UT Chattanooga and Rickey Gibson was held out, the SEC implemented their requirements of injury reports. I don't know if you know that. It's official now. You have to have and provide adequate injury reports. Now, I don't know if that was required for that week because it was so early, but they said they were going to require it 3 days before kickoff, so it was too late for that week. But Rickey Gibson wasn't on any injury report, and Rickey Gibson just didn't play, and then we find out afterward he didn't play. And, people can celebrate Heupel not telling the media this. Oh, he's standing up to the media. Guys, we're trying to help answer questions for you, the fans. That's what we do here. Like, we're not trying to play gotcha. We're trying to answer legitimate questions that fans are going to have. So if you guys want to be kept left in the dark, and I'm not talking to our message board or anything, I'm just saying in general, when fans come at us for doing that, you're celebrating that you're being left in the dark. And
Dylan, I've read about the potential groin injury, and yes, that was a possibility. But why don't you just say that? I mean, a groin. Listen, I understand why you wouldn't talk about an offensive lineman that has a knee injury because somebody could go for his knee. But why wouldn't you just say he has a pulled groin? He is not able to go. And I think that's probably the reason. I'm not trying to question Josh Heupel's decisions over whether or not to play him. I'm not questioning basically anything about his coaching. I'm questioning the way he handles public relations at times, because you brought it up yesterday and it was pervasive throughout message boards and everything else, that some of what Josh Heupel said about Cooper Mays seemed to put pressure on Cooper Mays to play. I just think he could handle some of these situations better. And guys, I don't want you to think that I'm coming down hard on Josh Heupel. I'm not. I think he's one of the top coaches in the nation. It just seems like you could provide the fans with some more information.
Yeah, that's exactly where I'm at too. And it does seem like it does feel like Biden. Not listen to me. Why did I say Biden? What is wrong with me today? Like, it does feel like Heupel would cover for Rickey Gibson if Rickey Gibson was. It feels like Rickey Gibson did something to get in trouble. Because the reason I say that is, you're right. If it was just an injury, I feel like Heupel would be doing him a favor by saying he was injured, wouldn't he? I mean, you're not doing him any favors. Yeah, you're not doing any favors by not saying anything. And then we all speculate. Guys, we know how this ended up. We all speculated Jeremy Banks 2 years ago. The message board speculated at first. You're like, why is he not playing? Why is he not playing? Why is he not playing? That happened before kickoff at South Carolina. And then we find out he started a fight with a teammate. And that teammate happened to be Hendon Hooker.
Right. So, and then there was all kinds of debate over whether or not it was a fight, whether or not he got in some sort of other trouble. So I'm just asking you, again, I'm not criticizing anyone. Please be sure. And I'm not criticizing Josh Heupel. If this is the way you want to handle it that way. But would you like more personnel info from Josh Heupel? Is on our poll question. Yes, only fair. No, keep some secrets. Now, I will say this too, from a public relations standpoint, this goes back to why didn't you take a Nico or a James Pierce to SEC Media Days? I'm not complaining at all, but we're going to get into James Pierce here in a second. And guys, it sounds like I'm being a whiny media member because I want to interview them. No, I'm a conduit, as Caleb alluded to. I just want to bring you information and the best information every day. And just to say, oh, Rickey Gibson had a little muscle pull. He's fine. That would have been the end of it.
That's exactly it. That would have been the end of it. And typically, this is why I think it's more to it. Typically, Heupel would say that after the game, even if he was employing gamesmanship before the game, which gives off a vibe that there's a little bit more there, guys. I'm sorry, but like it's just not normal for him to not say anything the way he is about this. Be like, oh, he wasn't ready to go. And I mean, even by Josh Heupel standards, Josh Heupel is much more reserved than other coaches, but even his standards, there's something there. Now, Dave, would you rather Josh Heupel do this, or would you rather have him say Rickey Gibson landed on a helmet?
Well, I mean, don't flat out lie. I don't want to see that. But I'm just interested, guys, because I think we have a very smart audience. So I'm asking you, would you like more personnel info from Josh Heupel? And right now it's about 60. It's about 2-1. 65% no. Keep some secrets. Yes, only fair. That's cool. All right. I'm with you. If that's where you want to be, that's fine. And some secrets is a little bit different from a starter not playing, in my opinion. And we had James Pierce that played a very limited role. I want to get to that. Is that any sort of cause for concern? Because, guys, UTC is at such a lower level than Tennessee. The minimum you were going to see was 30 or 40-10. I mean, that was the minimum. So you can't pull a lot from this game. I don't think NC State's that much. Well, they're that much better. I don't think they're incredible, and I think Tennessee could lose 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 starters and still beat Tennessee. But I want to touch base on two things. Number one, what does this say about Tennessee's secondary, if anything, that they were able to go out and have a fantastic game, Caleb, and they lost one of their starters earlier in the week? Or does it say anything because it's Chattanooga?
Are you saying what would it have said if one of their players got hurt against Chattanooga?
No, I'm asking, does it say Tennessee has a deep secondary and that should somewhat be celebrated, or do you just say it's Chattanooga, Dave? Come on, be serious.
I'm going to say it's Chattanooga, Dave, be serious. But wait, with the caveat, because there are previous UT coaches that would not have held out their stars for these games and would have bragged to the high heavens for winning a game against Chattanooga 40-0 or 50-0. And I can tell you that
Butch.
Yes, Butch and Dooley, by the way. Derek Dooley would have absolutely said this was a real good win. And I mean, matter of fact, to open Dooley's third year at Tennessee, they beat NC State 35-21, a mediocre NC State, when he's like, that was just a great win, a real good win. I'm like, NC State, bro, and you're trying to have like a top 10 caliber program this year, but okay, right. You do you.
But okay, you do you. Okay, but my other question is, with this injury report, how will Josh Heupel handle it moving forward? What does your coffee cup say? What does your coffee cup say?
Cheer accordingly or shut up.
That's pretty good. That's the worst.
Right?
Like they're saying, oh, that guy did this and that and whatever. Hit the like and subscribe button if you don't mind. We're going to discuss how Tennessee...
I need to correct something real quick before this segment ends too.
Yes. We're not over.
I think we're not done. Okay. All right.
Do you want to go ahead and correct it now?
No. If we stay on this segment, that's fine. I just want to correct it before we move on.
Okay.
That I said.
The show brought to you by our good friends at Banks and Jones. They go to trial. Other attorneys don't. BanksandJones.com.
Well, it's because they're Tennessee's trial attorney. You can play to win with Banks and Jones because they'll go to trial. You've heard of other lawyers. They say they'll go to trial and fight for you. They won't. They just want to settle. That's the easiest way out. Well, that's not Banks and Jones, led by T. Scott Jones. They won't settle. They'll go to trial for you. Tennessee's trial attorney. They play to win. Truly, Tennessee's trial attorney when it comes to criminal defense or personal injury. Why settle? It's Banks and Jones. T. Scott Jones. BanksandJones.com.
Caleb, give me that correction. What do you got?
You guys are right. This SEC rule on injuries is for SEC games, not non-conference games. So it could be Josh Heupel's employing gamesmanship just to get around the NC State game, which Tennessee should. You're right. They should dog walk them, but at the same time, it's their one tough non-conference opponent. So,
well, I mean,
doing this with Rickey Gibson.
I don't think NC State's over there thinking, "Oh my God, if Rickey Gibson plays, we're up the creek." I mean, you don't even know. It would be one thing if Nico had a tweet knee, okay, and you're not sure that you're going to play him. I'm up for gamesmanship all day long. I just think is it a little bit silly?
NC State has a good passing. Wait, NC State has a very good passing game. Tennessee, we think Rickey Gibson could end up being a lockdown quarter. Maybe you don't want to reveal that until the NC State game.
Okay, I think they're going to test him throughout the game until he proves otherwise, and then
maybe that's what they want. Maybe they want NC State to test Rickey Gibson because they believe Gibson's that good.
Okay, I'm going to set up a new poll question right now. And right now, would you like more personnel info from Josh Heupel? Yes, only fair. No, keep secrets. So I'm going to change it to, how about this? Josh Heupel, pick one word, Caleb, that would describe Josh Heupel's PR skills.
Ooh.
Because I got my word. You ready for my word?
Yeah, go.
Silly. Just plain silly. I mean, the or thing, and again, I'm not coming down on him. I just don't think it affects the game. I think it's silly. I understand gamesmanship. I do. but I just think it's silly.
Yeah, I agree.
You got to give me another word. I got to fill out a whole poll question.
Silly.
I'm gonna go typical coach speak, and then what else?
Not one word. No, wait. Oh, so we can do phrases. Oh, phrases.
I mean, I hope silly wins. Calculated. That's a good one. I like that. Austin, are you in Ireland, as your name says? Okay, calculated.
Ahead of the curve.
Okay, I say typical coach speak, calculated, ahead of the curve. So go ahead and you can vote on that now.
And then silly. You obviously want silly in there too.
Oh, silly's in there. Silly was number one. Silly was filled out before I even asked you for yours. So the poll question is on there now. Josh Heupel's PR skills are silly, typical coach speak, calculated, ahead of the curve. A couple of getting votes are right off the bat are calculated and typical coach speak. Calculated, yes, I agree with that. Typical coach speak, no. The way he kind of mumbles off and doesn't say anything, just say, we're not going to talk about injuries. We're not going to talk about what happened with Rickey Gibson. Just be straight up and say it. It's not typical. You don't think it's typical, do you, Caleb?
No, I don't really think it's typical. I mean, I think this is very unique how Heupel does it. I mean, yes, coaches lie. Okay, spoiler alert, coaches lie. They at the very least mislead you guys. And I don't, but Heupel takes the caginess to a whole nother level. And not all coaches lie. There is a reason, and I told you guys this last week, there's a reason that we have made exceptions for Steve Spurrier's behavior as media members that we've never made for any other coach in sports. And it's because he has never been a liar. He is the most honest dude ever in the history of coaching.
Yeah. No.
He just told us straight up that he suspended Rickey Gibson.
And he was really open about, if you hit a woman, you're just not going to be on my team. You're not Gator material. I always thought that was a pretty strong stance. So right now, calculated leads, typical coach speak right behind that, ahead of the curve, and silly are both getting a couple of votes. But I just think it's silly. I can be in the minority. It is definitely not the first time.